Hi, welcome back, Cloud Scholars. I'm your host, Kieran Tross. In today's video, I'm going to go over what a virtual network is. A virtual network in Azure or any other cloud environment is the environment for your cloud resources to live on. In a physical setup, this would consist of your power, your internet service provider, Comcast, Verizon, the router and firewall, network switches, network cables, desktop printers, and access points that you would connect to. So now that you're utilizing virtual networks in Azure, you don't have to worry about the same concepts, right? Some of these things Microsoft takes care of you, such as your power and internet service provider. Those things you're not really worried about in the same fashion because you're able to get those stuff and those resources within Azure. And Microsoft takes care of those responsibilities. So with a virtual network, you can't have a virtual machine without having the network, right? And you can't have certain resources without having the network, because what you're doing with a virtual network is basically creating the environment for these resources to live. Think of a seed, right? If you have a seed, that can be your computer resource. You can't have a seed without having the dirt for it to grow in, right? A seed won't grow, right? You need the right things in order for that seed to function. Those are the principles it lives by. Now, this isn't a class about agriculture, but I just wanted to use that as an analogy. With a virtual network, you are able to provide your resources that environment. With a properly designed virtual network, you have the ability to connect your resources to the cloud, your computers, your storage, web traffic, SQL databases, and then you have your different subnets within that virtual network. And then you have another thing called private links. Now that's a deeper discussion that we can talk about later on in another video, right? But I just wanted to throw it out there just to kind of get your mind going, and then hopefully you'll Google it, and then you'll look into one of my other videos about private links. That's a more advanced topic. Right, what I want to talk about is subnets. Subnets are basically a network inside of a network. These subdivisions of your entire network make management more efficient and secure. Now, subnets are an essential part of your virtual network. Think of your house being a virtual network. Each room has its own purpose within your home. You have bedrooms, you have a kitchen, a dining room, and a living room. You don't have water pipes running into your living room. You also don't have a stove in your bedroom. When the architect designed your home, or if you designed your home, each room had a defined purpose for what it was supposed to do. Leisure, sleep, laundry, it doesn't matter. What you put in the room was based on the design of that room. The same thing goes for subnets. When you get to a point of setting up your virtual network, you may have some compliance requirements that need to be fulfilled that will make you design your network in a certain fashion. Also, proper layout of subnets is essential to properly managing your network. For security purposes, you will want certain resources on specific subnets to keep certain resources secure, such as PHI or even personal information, and things of that nature. For instance, you can have a virtual network of an address space of 10.42.0.0/16. And then within that virtual network, you can have different subnets. So on the screen, what we have now is 3 subnets. The first subnet is for marketing, which has an address of a subnet of 1042.3.0/24. And we have a subnet 2, which is finance, which is a 10.42.4.0. Then we have a subnet 3, which is human resources, which is 10.42.5.0/24, which is basically saying how many IP addresses you have. There are different ways to manage and set up your virtual network. It all depends on what your end goal is. Here is another diagram of the same 10.42.0.0/16 address space, but in this case we have our subnets, but we also have a guest network. And you can get really creative about how you want to set up your network. Where this one you have subnet 1, which is internal, and you have subnet 2, which is internal, which these two subnets speak to each other. But then there's subnet 3, which is for guest. right? So let's just say you have your access point, such as like a Cisco Meraki, and you're like, okay, I want to give my guests access to Wi-Fi. If you're at a hospital and you want to provide Wi-Fi, you now can say they could get on the network, right? But at the same time, that this specific network for guests is a different channel that you can now segment that network so that this way they do not get onto the internal network. So I wanted to really have a quick discussion about what virtual networks are, and then also then jump into how to set up a virtual network in Azure. Make sure you check out my how to create a virtual network in Azure video for more deep dive understanding. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Here at Cloud Scholars, my goal is to get you from scholar to consultant and from consultant to expert. See you next time.